Time to tantalize your earbuds with creative makers and shakers. It's Creative Living, the podcast with Jane Klaus.
This is Creative Living, the podcast. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. You know, on this show, we talk a lot about living your most creative life. And I always say, imagine, design, and create, because I'm a maker too, but those are the fundamentals of really getting into your inspiration and making something special. And I met someone, a designer, who really elevates design. Like, she's amazing. She's my next guest. She is the owner and designer and stylist and everything from Argument and Defiance. She is a textile designer focusing on natural dyes. Say hello to Lydia Crespo. Hi, Lydia.
Hi. Thanks so much for having me.
You are so welcome. Lydia, what the heck are natural dyes, really?
Well, what I'm using is tree bark and roots and leaves, even onion skins that I'm collecting from my local grocery store to create a pigment that I'm dyeing fabric with. Specifically, I'm using all silks just because natural dyes really love silk and they perform the best on it.
So first of all, Lydia, how does a person get interested in silk and natural dyes? Did you major in like fashion?
I studied at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, and I studied in their textile material studies program. And I knew I always was I just kind of had this calling towards fiber. I really liked just, how malleable they are and what I could, build interesting sculptures with everything. And it was just really fun. And then I took a class on natural dyeing just because I thought it would be like another great skill to have. And I just completely fell in love with it. And I don't know how to describe it better than my, I was understanding the art and seeing the value in that. But then the chemistry behind it, I really connected with in a way that I had never connected with science before. It was making sense. It was my hands knew what to do, and it was syncing up with my brain perfectly.
So were you like really good at science and chemistry, or was this like all of a sudden it hit you like, wow, I'm actually really good at this?
No, just all of a sudden it hit me. It really took first, having the introduction with my hands, and then pairing it with the chemistry, like having that hands-on, seeing why this was working, and then understanding the chemistry behind it. That's what made the connection for me. So it was really having this physical response to the science.
That's really amazing. So I know a little bit about natural dyes, so I'm not going to lie, but it seems like it's really a process you're taking onion skins and you're trying to get the color out of that to color into silk. Like, what's the process? Does it take a long time?
Yeah, it does. And, every dye is going to be a little bit different. So there's some that, most of the dyes that I'm using, I'm getting in extract form, but something like the onion skins, that's a whole process from collecting them. Then I have to, clean them and wash them. And then I boil them down actually or simmer them. If you boil, then the color is actually kind of deteriorated a little bit. But if you simmer the skins, the pigment is actually just kind of like leaches out into the water, and then you're left with this gorgeous bath. I'm using red onion skins for mine, so you have this kind of pinky red ruby bath. And the funny thing about this is that you put in the silk, and it turns green. Wow. It's just this unexpected, beautiful process. I have a really great video that I just posted of it on my Instagram account, too, if you'd like to see how the whole thing is done.
So you put it in this pink dye and it comes out green.
Correct.
And does it stay green? Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it stays green. Yeah, it stays green.
So when you're looking at some of the other things that you use, like the tree bark and the roots and the leaves, if I put in tree bark and it's brown, do I get a brown dye or a brown result, or is it yellow?
It depends on what kind of dye you're using, or what kind of, what the source is. So for instance, there's a tree in Oklahoma called Osage, and it's I believe it's named after a local Indian tribe that was there, and this tree bark is it's got this bright yellow pigment, and then that's what you get when you're naturally dyeing with it. Is you get this bright yellow, beautiful color. But then there's also some that, like you said, there's some that will give you a brown. There's some that will give you a purple. There's the purple dye that I love to use the most is called logwood, and it's native to Africa and India. And the heart of the wood, the very center of the wood, is what gives you this beautiful purple color. And purple is actually kind of a difficult color to achieve naturally. And my name Lydia actually means the maker of purple dye.
Wow. Do you have a signature? Like that should be... That's it.
It's like the signature color is definitely that purple. And, when I was learning how to natural dye, this was kind of funny. Like I said, purple is kind of a tough color to achieve naturally. And it's all I was getting. I wanted to create the color red, or I wanted to create some pinks, or, something different. And I just kept getting purple over and over and over again. I thought I was cursed or something.
No, that's destiny. You were born, your mom calls you Lydia. You're like, okay, I'm the maker of purple dye for life.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you, it's so interesting. You're finding the tree in Africa and the other, tree in, what state was it in again? Wyoming.
Oh, Oklahoma. Yeah.
Does every tree bark, every leaf, every vegetable, did they all create a natural dye, or are there only certain elements or certain trees and leaves and natural things that can create a dye, or does everything do it?
Yeah, no, that's an excellent question. There are only certain plants that give that produce a good color. A light, safe color is kind of what we like to call it. Something that's not going to be completely destroyed by sunlight or fade very quickly. So it's and you're going to get different colors with different kinds of trees, even different where they're growing. So different regions is also going to produce different colors.
So I know, like, I can spill beet juice or something on my shirt and it stains, and it won't come out in the wash. Have I just naturally dyed my shirt, or is there or is that not common?
Yeah, natural dye by accident. Yeah, you definitely did.
Is that how it works? Because I'm thinking, we'll say beets. I love beets. They stain my hands when I'm cutting them, and it'll stick into my hands for a really long time. Are beets something that I could dye with?
Yeah, beets are something you can dye with, but beets aren't light safe, like what I was referring to before. So you'll always have that stain on your shirt, but but you'll probably notice that it kind of lightens or turns a little bit different of a color over time, and that's what we're talking about is, light safe means kind of sustaining that same bright color for an extended period of time.
Wow. So if I were to try and dye something that wasn't light safe, and I hung it outside on the drying rack and it got hit by the sun, it would then totally change color and be something else. It would just look dirty.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or completely bleach out. So it would turn back to white cloth.
Oh, really?
Yeah, beets and cabbage do that quite a bit. Yeah, where cabbage is pretty cool too, because you can shift the color by changing the pH of the bath. So this is fun when you're dyeing like Easter eggs, or or doing something just something that's short term like that. Or just a fun chemistry project for your with kids is. You can shift the color of the dye bath by changing the pH of the water. So if you add a little bit of lemon juice to it, you'll get a completely different color than if you add a little bit of baking soda to the cabbage bath.
Wow! So lemon juice.
When I'm talking about the chemistry, that's it right there. By understanding, by just changing the acidity of the bath, you get a whole range of colors, and It's a really fun and exciting process.
It just seems like there's so much to know. It feels like it'd be a whole college class of, acidity and pH balance and what you're adding to the dye bath to change things up. It's not. It seems like it could be a whole textbook.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And there was a lot of studying, a lot of practice that went into developing this skill. I even, beyond the art classes, I was taking, learning how to natural dye, and then I was, continuing the practice on my own. But then I was also taking the chemistry of natural dyes and the chemistry of natural dyes too. And then I even that I started creating my own chemistry classes just so I could do, my own study, where I was, thinking like, okay, shaping some theories of like, I think this is how it's going to work if I try this dye or if I try this technique. And then I was able to convince my chemistry teacher to let me do a semester study where I created my own curriculum just so that I could see if my theories and practices were true. So that was a lot of fun. And then I also, the professor that I studied with natural dyes originally, she had a natural dye company here in Chicago, and I interned with her. So it was just continuing my study on, every level, like understanding the chemistry further, just continuing to push that, continuing to push my art with the natural dyes, and then also seeing what a functioning business looks like by using natural dyes. That was an education itself.
Yeah, I mean, it's really impressive. I would never have thought like all of this depth into natural dyes. Is it popular? Do you see a lot of people natural dyeing like that would be running a business or doing, even for themselves?
It's definitely getting a lot more popular, which is always exciting to see, especially as we're seeing this slow fashion movement being more accepted, and the greater public, being educated on what slow fashion is, and it's exciting, and I love that. Consumers are having a greater appreciation for it too, that they're understanding that, my products are going to take, maybe a week or two to turn around because I have to go to the grocery store every morning and collect onion skins. It takes the bath overnight to get a beautiful, rich color. And I get to educate my customers about that, but then I can also teach them how to do that in the workshops that I'm leading out of my studio.
So what does the guy at the grocery store say when you go to the back door and you're like, hey, can I get all the onion skins that fall off the truck and the ones that are on the floor, sweep them up and I'll bring back tomorrow morning?
So they love me because I am coming in and I clean out the onion skin bin where all the onions are sitting. So I'm actually doing their job for them. I thought I was gonna have to be super sneaky and go in there and get the onions, because no, they absolutely love that I come in and do their job for them. And they're just they're wonderful. It's a great symbiotic relationship that we have going on.
It's actually fantastic because whatever they're going to discard, you're going to use it.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I mean, how super duper local to Chicago is that? I mean, not only is the person who's making your scarf from Chicago and it's being made in Chicago, the dye is actually coming from a grocery store in Chicago.
Right. It could have been it could have been in your next stew, but instead it's part of your silk scarf, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's so great. So you've been doing this a long time. What is I'm sure you have a story, your biggest natural dye fail? Have you had one, or do you just fix it?
Oh, yeah. Gosh. Yeah, too many to count is more like.
I mean, do you pull something out and it's a totally different color than you were expecting?
Oh, totally, yeah. Actually, well, going back to the pH shifting, right, that I was describing earlier that you can do with cabbage, there's a dye. The dye that I use the most in my studio is called madder root, and it's another native plant to Africa and India. And this is also a dye that you can, by just shifting the acidity of the dye bath, you can shift the color. And the formula that I use for this dye, it changes drastically throughout the year, just based on the water that I'm using. Because sometimes the water coming out of the tap is a little bit more acidic, or a little bit more neutral. Just kind of based on the year. And I think I think that has something to do with the amount of algae blooms and and what the city has to do to purify the water and all that stuff. So calculating that and learning how to shift and roll with that is it can sometimes take me days to get the correct color that I'm looking for. So I mean, straight up failure, no, maybe just learning to roll with the failures or maybe just to roll with it. That's always been fun. And then it's also interesting whenever someone brings me a physical swatch and say, can you match this color? There's always a lot of failure with that as well.
Do you ever match a color that someone brings you? I mean, that's going to be really hard.
I have done it a handful of times. it is unbelievably hard, but it is doable. Yeah.
It is doable. You're like a magician. Okay, on the air with us is Lydia Crespo from Argaman and Defiance, and she is a textile designer, which I just think is like so unique and cool. You're making these scarves, so 100% silk scarves. When you design a textile, can you actually dye these textiles and then cut them up and turn them into a shirt or a skirt or something else?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's actually something that we do. I have a couple of like cute little crop tops. We're going to be working on a dress later on in the spring. It's just, you can do more than scarves. And I like, having kind of being able to play around and seeing and push the fabric and pull it and see where I can take it in every direction.
And it's always 100% silk. Does like 100% cotton work?
Yeah, cotton does work. Natural dyes they like protein fibers, which is a fiber coming from an animal. So like wools and natural dyes go really well together.
Mm-hmm.
Cottons, you can certainly use cottons to natural dye with. You're just not going to get as bright and vibrant of a color. It's just not going to perform. The natural dye isn't going to perform as well on a cotton as it would versus a silk or a wool.
Yeah, or what about a muslin?
A muslin, I think, because it's just not going to perform quite as well.
Yeah. Now, I have a question because natural dyes, you just obviously told us, it is literally textbook. You have to study this for a long time to get the results that you want. I'm kind of like hey, let's just throw it in the pot and see what happens kind of gal. Like, let me just try everything once and see what happens. I won't ever be an expert at it, which is why I would call you if I needed to do it. But one of the...
You like to dabble, yeah.
I like to dabble, yeah. I don't want to be an expert at anything. I just want to try it all. So I had a lot of dye fails, but and I don't even know how to pronounce it. But alum, is alum an ingredient that you put in the dye bath?
Yeah. Alum is it's a mordant, and mordant actually comes from the Latin word which means morte, which means to bite. But actually, what's happening is that mordant is positively charged, and it's combining the negatively charged dye molecule to the negatively charged fiber molecule. So did you follow that all? So it's a magnetic bond that's happening, that's holding that dye in place.
Wow. So is it an absolute must to use that, or can you use something else like your lemon juice, your baking soda? Yeah. There are other things you can use, but if you are wanting to get a great color that's going to be bold and not rub off, not be light safe, that sort of thing, I'd highly recommend using a mordant. Yeah, and there's other sorts of mordants. You don't necessarily have to use alum. You can use iron, for instance. Yeah. Like it's a liquid, right?
Yeah, well, or you could just, crush up an iron supplement that you buy at the grocery store.
Oh.
Yeah, and just kind of dissolve it in some water. Iron is going to satin a color a little bit, but which means just kind of like give it more of a gray or blue hue. But if you don't want to use alum, you can use iron.
I love that. That's a top tip right there. Yeah. It's crush up an iron pill you get at the supplement store and dissolve it in water.
Or I know I've never tried this, so I don't know how well it works and how accurate it is. But I've also heard just soaking a nail in water and just kind of just letting it rust on its own.
It's like overnight or something?
Yeah. I don't know if overnight would get you great results, but I would say maybe like a month or something, just to kind of build it up a little bit, in the water.
So this is not a quick process. This takes time.
Yes. Yeah, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of trial and error, a lot of patience. You have to really love it if you're going to get into it.
And you really love it.
I do.
So tell me this. What would you say to the beginner who's interested in natural dyes? They're Googling right now different ways to make, what mordant to use and different ways to do natural dyes. Give us a quick recipe that's the easiest one that the person that is brand new can do it.
I would say try the onion skins.
Really?
Yeah. It's a lot. It's low effort. You don't need to research any extracts. You don't need to, you can just go to your grocery store and just collect a few of them, the red or the yellow ones, and take them home. And that way you can also, it's just a low investment. So you can try it over again a couple of times. You know, you could say, well, that didn't work, or I wish I would have tried this differently. It's just something that's, low.
Yeah. It's low cost to you.
Investment. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Just, it's fun. And like I said, it's just so unexpected to see that shift that happens from this bright red bath to this beautiful olive green color that comes out.
It's really amazing. So people can see your work online at your website, and that is?
Yeah. It's argamandefiance.com, and I can spell that for you.
Yeah.
It's ARGAMAN defiance.com.
And do you have videos up there, right? People can see you in action and see how you do your products and your projects and things like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I have a couple of different videos of working. I have my workshop schedule. So if you even want to come to my studio and take a class with me, you can do that. And then you can also take a look at my collection and what I've made, and you can actually shop that right online as well.
Because no two things are the same, right?
Correct. Yeah. So every dye bath is going to be a little bit different. The onion skins are constantly changing. The trees are constantly changing. So it's going to all impact how the dye is going to react.
And when you talk to all the other experts, I would imagine there's only a handful of experts in natural dyeing, because it just seems like you need to have a doctorate in natural dyeing. It's so intense. What kind of conversations do you guys have? Do you talk about pH balance and things like that, or do you guys talk about onion skins?
We're swapping formulas and
really?
It's so funny because it used to be, those used to be secrets I keep. You wouldn't share those at all. And now that there's just not a lot of us, it's better just to to share. Why not? Yeah. I think my formulas are, I've worked really hard on them. I want people to experience them and have it, be either using them themselves or understanding the process. So yeah, share. I'm all about sharing.
I love it. Well, you're elevating design to the next level. You're elevating textiles. You're doing some really cool things and really innovative, I think, because it's taking time, and the craftsmanship there is really stunning. So, Lydia, thank you so much for being on Creative Living. Again, go to argamandefiance.com. And social media, how do we find you on social?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, and that's actually a great place where you can watch a lot of those how-to videos and of me working. And my Instagram is Argaman Defiance.
Argaman Defiance. I love it. And this is Lydia Crespo. Lydia, you're the best. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
I'm probably going to have to look to you for more natural dyes. I don't know that I'm going to be as successful in making my own, but I love getting all the secrets and the tricks of the trade. You're so great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Live better creatively. For more inspiration, visit janeklaus.com. Thank you for listening.